Hi, YouTube fans. This is Matt of Post April 6th YouTube channel. I got another really good story idea that takes place back in 1988. It's about a young guy who's 21 years old named Jeremiah Boaz is his middle name, Hutton. And the middle name Boaz, it's also a fairly common first name for people who are from the southern states, the deep south, and other parts of the southern part of the United States. His date of birth was January 21st, 1967. His place of birth, and it was also his hometown, Masonville, Kentucky. And in this story, he leaves Masonville, Kentucky, but he doesn't drive. He goes by airplane. And he doesn't go from Masonville because there is no airport whatsoever in Masonville. It is about 3.3 miles away from his house in Owensboro, Kentucky. And the formal name of the airport is Owensboro Davies County Regional Airport. And the airport only has about 2 different airlines that go out of it. And one works in, I don't know if they did it back in 1988, but I know they do it now for sure. It's called Contour Airlines. And Contour works in cooperation with American Airlines to get from Owensboro to wherever they're flying to that Contour does not cover. The time that he leaves is late August, approximately August 14th or 15th, and let me go ahead and get a date established here before I go any further. So just stay tuned. Yes, it's Tuesday, August 16th, 1988. And he leaves his home with a suitcase that already has wheels on it, and it was a forerunner of what is now known as telescopic suitcases. And he also has a big duffel bag. I think it would either be a Jansport or something like that. One of those ones is huge, and it's about that big around. It's almost like a large gym bag or a sports duffel bag. One that a football player would have, but normal people can have one. And at 10 after 6 a.m., both his parents like to get up early. His parents are in about their mid to late 40s. And he hugs his mom, gives her a kiss, and she slips him a couple $100 bills, puts it in his pocket. The dad, he shakes hands with him, hugs him, and he slips him a couple of 20s. And he leaves the airport, and his dad says in a deep, thick southern accent, he says, son, I can give you a ride in the pickup to the airport. He says, Dad, I really appreciate it. I just want to walk. I just want to do it. I know I can do it. I've done it before. It's like, okay, you got a half hour to change your mind. You better call us from a payphone ASAP. And if you wait more than a half hour, the answer's going to be no. So hit it. Get going, boy. So he leaves, and it's pretty dark out. and he's got on a windbreaker because it's cold. I mean, it's in the high 40s. It's cold, and it's a fairly thick windbreaker. So he keeps walking and walking and walking and walking and walking because he doesn't have to be at the airport at a certain time-sensitive time of day so that he can go through check-in and getting screened by airport security and then go to the concourse that he's supposed to go to and get on the airplane and fly. And where he's going to be going to once he pays for the ticket, the airline ticket that is, and it's a one-way ticket, he's going to Thousand Oaks, California, is where he's going to live. But he's flying to LAX, Los Angeles International Airport. And the amount of time that it would take to get from the house to the airport is 1 hour and 48 minutes. That's almost 2 hours. And he stops at a convenience center that is on the way, a gas station convenience center, and he gets some bottled water and he gets some peanuts because he's hungry and he's really drained. Then once he gets to the airport and he gets chauffeured in one of their, what would be like a security escort cart or a maintenance cart. It's like a golf cart, but it's a little bigger. It can hold like 2 different people because, you know, what's hitched up to it is an additional thing that can hold up to 6 people. It would be called a tramway. It'd be called a tramway. So they get him to the spot that he's supposed to be to get checked in. But before he gets checked in, he has to go to the clerk that is in the airline check-in department, atrium or desk, and he pays because he has a Citicorp MasterCard. He pays $377 for a one-way ticket from Owensboro, Kentucky to LAX. In 1988, $378 was big money. It would be about the equivalency of paying $780 now. Yep. And then after he gets the ticket, the clerk has to advise him about a few things. And she checks in his luggage. And you see what he does so that he can have a few magazines to read and whatnot. He takes the luggage on with him. And so then he goes, he walks over this way and then turns that way, because I think everything out there would be pretty much one level, and what would be in the basement would be not very much. One part of it would be employees only area for the maintenance staff, and there'd be office. There'd be some office space in there for employees only, and the other half would be places you would go to choose a car that you would want to have to rent. It would either be through Avis or something, rent a car or whatever. And he goes through the security screening, and they frisk him. They have to. And once they go through his duffel bag, one item is confiscated, and the security officer, he's got those latex gloves on because that's a safety requirement. He has to do that, safety and sanitation requirement, and health code. And he holds it up. He says, "I know you ain't no killer or no criminal, but you can't have disposable razors with you. That's a damn no-no. So if you do that from now on any airline, don't put it in your carry-on luggage, okay?" He says, "Okay. All right, you be sure to remember that." I'm like, all right. Just, hey, don't get on me about it. I'm just telling you what the rules and regulations are. It's my job. He says, "Okay, officer, thank you for telling me. I'll make sure to remember that. All right, you're clear. Go ahead and go." And he walks over to the because he's got like an hour and a half before he has to board. He walks over to the area where the food court is. It's roughly about 4 city blocks away. And he goes to the one that's open, because there's only 2 open, and they have breakfast up. Anything with lunch and dinner entrees does not open until after 10:30 in the morning, Eastern time. And okay, so roughly around 8:45 a.m., he goes up to the restaurant, and he looks at the menu like this, and he says, "Okay, I'd like biscuits and gravy, and a short stack of 2 pancakes." And she says, "Okay, what would you like to drink?" And he says, and he looks, he says, I haven't done this in a while. I want to do that dark roast gourmet coffee with whipped cream and chocolate sprinkles on top." She says, "Yeah, we can do that for you." And then he stands over to the side for roughly about 3 minutes. And then she says, "Okay, sir, here's your food. You can go ahead and take the tray and go sit wherever you'd like." And he goes and sits where he wants to. And he drinks a coffee, and he really likes it, even though he goes over to the area where the refreshments are, which would be knives, forks, spoons, napkins, sweet and low sugar, coffee cream, syrup, those little things of jelly, salt and pepper shakers, that kind of stuff. And after he adds a little bit of half and half in there, it tastes even better, the coffee. And he eats everything because, he was really, really hungry by the time he ate that, because all that work of taking that stuff 3 miles really, really got him to consume a lot of energy. And then what he does is he just sits there and just thinks about a lot of stuff. And then at 10:05, because he can hear over the intercom about the flight, it's like, "Oh, I better go. I better get over there, because they're going to probably start boarding here pretty soon." And then he gets over there, and he got over there at the right time, because she was just the it would either be a stewardess or a clerk that works for the airline, was getting ready to ask people to stand up and stand in line with their tickets available, because he had the ticket in his back pocket, hold it up about like this, and so he sits there for about a little over 5 minutes, and then they start boarding people. And at about 10:15, he's in group 5. He gets on, and there's like 3 people behind. There's only about 4 people behind him. There wasn't a lot of people on this flight, but there was more than a couple. So they fly from Owensboro, Kentucky, and then there's a delay because they had to switch planes. And they land in, I think that it would be probably Amarillo, Texas. That's what I'm assuming. I think they have an airline out there in Amarillo, Texas. So he gets off the plane and he stays where he is supposed to, off the plane for about a little over 25 minutes. More like 35. And then he gets back in line, and then he gets back on the airplane. This one's an American Airlines plane instead of Contour. And it's large. It's a 747 instead of like a 700. And there's a lot of people on the airline, but the good thing was there was only a couple of kids, and the kids that were there, he didn't hear them fussing very much. And once he is on the plane for about 20 minutes, he really feels tired and he dozes off and he leans back. He's all, and just right before they land, he hears the announcements that everybody should have their seatbelt on, and that the plane will be landing at LAX at Los Angeles International Airport, LAX, within 20 minutes. So he puts on his airplane and he feels the airplane going. Like that. And when he lands at LAX, I mean, he was already seeing it, but around LAX, the flow of rain was pretty heavy. I mean, it was like a flood was going to hit us. It was very dark and gloomy, and it was raining, and the rainfall was pretty heavy. So they move carefully, and the plane's moving a little bit slower. It has to be that way so that they can stop easier, and the brakes don't slip. And then at about actually at about 11 a.m. Pacific time. This is the best guess I can make, including the layover, because it took about 3.5 hours to get from Owensboro, Kentucky, to LAX with the layover, with about the 35 to 40 minute layover period included. Everybody starts taking off their seatbelts and standing up, and they start leaving one by one by one. When he gets to the part where he's close to the area where the stewardess is sitting with a clipboard, making notations of whatever she has to make notations of. He says to the stewardess, who's a red-headed lady, and she's really pretty. I mean, she's really a cute woman. She's only about 5'2", 5'3", but she's really cute. He asks her, he says, "Ma'am," he says, "may I ask you a question about what would be an LAX airport?" She says, "Sure, what can I help do for you? Do to help?" Or no, she says, "What can I do to help you?" And he says, "What is the best place to get a raincoat? Because I have a feeling that if I don't buy one, I'm going to regret it. Because I forgot to buy an umbrella. Or I forgot to bring with me an umbrella." And she says, "Okay, leave the airport and go this direction instead of that direction. And keep going for, I would say, at least over to Concourse B instead of where we're at, which is Concourse C. When you're in Concourse B, a little bit further straight ahead in the direction you're going, you're going to see Norman O'Brien's sportswear and children and kids clothing. And that place has quite a lot of men's, women's, and children's raincoats to choose from. You're going to find something you like, and they're priced reasonably for an airport. He says, "Okay, great." So he keeps going and going and going and going and going and going. I mean, he's walking for at least 15 minutes, because he has to watch how he walks, because he doesn't want to get in somebody's way and have somebody cuss at him. And then he goes into O'Brien's, and he sets down his duffel bag. And he looks through at least 10 different types of men's raincoats. He gets his size, and it's a clear see-through one with a pretty good sized hood on it. And it only costs $22.89. And he pays cash for it. Then what he does is he's thinking, "Oh man, I gotta go get my luggage." So he goes over to the baggage claim, I think it'd be like C or D of LAX, and he picks up his luggage because it's been just floating around like this on the carousel, going around over and over and over again. Because just about everybody else has gotten their luggage, except like 2 people that are standing there, and they're grabbing them. They're just about to leave. And he grabs his luggage, and then he gets on the phone with the apartment complex that is on a street called Holly Grove Street in Thousand Oaks. And he calls them to tell them that he will be there he's leaving LAX pretty soon, as he can get a ride established. And then and what happens is while he's on the phone discussing this heads up with them, they say to him, "You do know that the distance between the airport and where this apartment complex is 44 miles. And he says, "No, I didn't know that. I thought it was something like 28. She says, "No, trust me. It's 44 miles. And then he asks her, he says, okay, what would be the least expensive way that'd be fairly fast to get from LAX to the apartment complex? And she puts him on hold, and then she comes back about a little over a minute later, and she says, okay, use this. It's a combination of numbers and letters. It's a promotional code. She says, call this phone number, and he writes down the 800 number. Call Calport shuttle services. And with them, they're not going to accept cash. You do have a credit card, don't you? He says, yes, I do. He says, call them, and it's going to cost you at least $21 to $23 with this promotion code, because if you don't use this promotion code, it's going to set you back at least $33 to $35. And he says, whoa, okay, thanks for giving me that promotional code. He says, okay, I will call them and get a ride established, and then in the next few minutes I'll call you back and let you know when I anticipate being there. It's just good. Please do that. Thanks. So then he ends the phone call. Then he doesn't have to put a quarter in the payphone, because all these all these phone calls are being made from a payphone. They're not from a courtesy phone line. And he calls Calport, and even though he's on hold for at least 3 to 4 minutes, he gets a representative helping him, and he tells him where they're going, and he gives him the promotional code, which is a combination of 3 letters and 3 numbers. And then she says, okay, write down this confirmation code. And he does. And then she says, okay, tell the driver this promotional code, and he will use a special cellular service to make this go through. And he says, okay, great, thank you. And then he goes to the ground transportation area after he asks 2 different people where it is. And he waits there for at least 15 minutes. And right as he sees them coming up, he dashes over to the payphone, and he calls and tells them that, okay, Calport has just shown up, and I should be there in the next 45 minutes. Hopefully it won't take more than an hour. She says, okay, that's fine. Just, if you're going to be any later, ask him to pull over and use a payphone, or ask to use his cellular phone and call us and let us know, okay? And he says, okay. And then she says, okay, I gotta go. I gotta help a customer that lives here. Bye. She hangs up. And then he dashes right back over to Calport transit stop. And people, like, at least 3 people get off, and he's the only one that gets on. And he's not alone, because there's 2 other people there that are going to different locations than he's going to. And then they get on the highway, and they drive, meaning the driver himself. I mean, he rides along a distance of 44 miles In fact, I'm going to make a correction. With as heavily traffic and congested as the highways would get, it's probably going to take more like an hour and a half. But the woman at the leasing office would understand that, and she's already expecting him to. It's going to take up to 2 hours for him to get there. So he's just riding along, and there was only a few traffic jams that were really bad where they're moving slow for about 15 minutes, then things pick up. And there was only one unsightly thing to see when he gets near the point, and there's this guy who's got really dirty shirt and jeans on, and he's got long hair, and he's got this beard down to about here, and his complexion's really red, and he's all going like this. He's all going, I mean, he's going nuts because the guy's getting psychologically disturbed. He's having a psychological meltdown because he's homeless, and he's mad at himself for being heavily addicted to drugs and alcohol, or he's a real bad alcoholic, one of the two, or a combination of the two. And when they get to that turnout point where they only have to go about a distance of about 2 miles away from the freeway to get to Holly Grove Street, he gets let off, and the driver opens up the back doors where the luggage would be stored, and takes it out for him, not like that. And they shake hands, and he tips him a $5 bill in cash. And the driver really likes that. So then he goes into the office, even though he's a little bit wet and his hair's messed up, and he combs it. And the maintenance man comes running over, and he helps him with his luggage. And then the leasing agent, or actually it's a manager, assistant manager, is sitting by the desk, and she's got this really nice, and she extends out her hand, they shake hands, and they have a really pleasant conversation of him getting started, or getting initiated, and getting everything set up so he can officially move into his apartment and actually take possession of it as a tenant. And what he does is, after he gets like 2 sets of keys, and he gets a manual, resident manual, the maintenance man, in one of those golf carts where it's 2 mans in room for luggage and a few other things, he drives him over to his building, because there's like at least 10 different buildings in this apartment complex. And he goes over to building 5, and the apartment number is 108. 5-108. And he unlocks the door for him, and he says, and the maintenance man says, go ahead and try your keys out, make sure they work. And they do. And he shows him what's inside the refrigerator, because what's inside there is a 6-pack of Coca-Cola. And he opens up the cabinetry, and there is a brand spanking new Krups 8-cup coffee maker. And it's in this nice white wrapping paper that you would wrap around the present that's got nice present wrapping paper or gift wrapping paper. There is some Colombian medium roast coffee, ground. It's not whole beans, ground. And he gets advised by the maintenance man who knows this area like the back of his hand, because he's been living in Thousand Oaks for at least 10 years prior to 1988. And he tells him where the grocery stores are, where the convenience store is, where the restaurants are, where the place is to go get wine, liquor stores, movie theaters, all kinds of stuff. And then Jeremiah goes back in to his apartment, and he opens up the big piece of luggage, and he starts folding up some luggage, or some clothing, and he puts it in these, shelving units that kind of look like bookshelves, but they're storage shelves, where he put the clothes, and he put the different types of shoes out in the open. And there's a few hangers in there, but not very many. And he also takes out a sleeping bag. And he also does the same for the luggage of clothing, underwear, socks, and a pair of slippers. He starts hanging that up in the closet the best he can. Because, see, he's waiting on 3 boxes of stuff that are coming retail ground. Because this was way before they did what's called, now known as Ground Advantage. Or it would also be called Parcel Post back then. Probably more likely to be called USPS or U.S. Postal Parcel Post. And he knows that it's going to take at least 3 more days before he gets that stuff. And the other thing that's inside the apartment is a microwave. Because it's built in right next to the stove, the stove oven range. It's mounted up against the wall, so you can't just rip, just go and pull away and steal it. If a thief gets in there to steal it, he better move fast, and he better get out of there in a big frickin' hurry, and he better hope that nobody sees him. Hauling that thing off really fast to his car and then speeding away. And then what he does is he thinks, okay, I better start making a list. And he gets out one of these from his duffel bag. And there's a couple of different pens in there. And he starts writing down stuff that he needs like that. And he walks about 2 blocks to a either Food Co. or Ralph's grocery store that's owned by Kroger. And in that store, boy, he finds a lot of good stuff. He gets a 10-inch skillet and an 8-inch, an 8-inch skillet and a 6-inch skillet. He gets packets of sugar. He gets eggs, hamburger, oregano spice. He gets several different types of frozen foods, burritos, Stouffer's, spaghetti, Stouffer's meatloaf, and he gets shaving cream, razors, a couple of hand towels. He gets a nice reusable duffel bag that has a city view of Thousand Oaks. And he gets paper towels, toilet paper, Tums, in case he gets upset stomach. He gets that NSAID aspirins. Those ones are about this big around instead of ones that are about a little smaller around than my pinky. And he also he gets a lot of stuff. And normally he would walk this home, but he's like, "No, I got too many bags. I better call a cab." So he calls a cab, and he pays the driver about $12 cash, and he brings in 5 bags of groceries, and he puts everything away, and then he's getting really, really hungry. I mean, his stomach's growling hard. So he walks 2 blocks to Sonic. And he gets a fairly big cheeseburger, onion rings, and fried, and I think it's what's called a slushie, or a slush drink. And then after that, he really feels wiped out. He's like, "I gotta go home and take a nap." So he walks back to his apartment, and he folds up one of his coats and uses it as a temporary pillow, and he lays on the. He crawls in underneath the sleeping bag, just only wearing some undies, and he just for about an hour and a half, and then he wakes up and he showers and shaves because he's just feeling icky because the climate that can be there, it can make you sweat, it can make you feel sticky because there's so much, the air's thick. And then he goes to a another restaurant. He goes to an Italian restaurant, and what he gets is garlic nuts with marinara. They give him a fairly big thing, about this big around, of marinara sauce. And he drinks some good iced tea that is about the best iced tea he's ever had. And then he gets back, and he starts thinking, it's too late to go shopping for furniture and stuff. I gotta start thinking of how am I going to get some furniture in here, because I can't. I mean, I got like $3,000, because this is $3,000 that, part of it he saved up, and then part of it was from a lot of stuff he sold before he moved. He says, I got to think of a way to get some furniture in here and get a TV, because otherwise I'm going to go nuts. And on the next day, he wakes up, he showers and shaves, and he makes himself a little bit of breakfast. And he goes to one of the 3 different payphones that are in the apartment complex. And he he calls the hotel that he's going to work for as a reservations agent. And they do not want him to start until the following Monday, which would be roughly about August 22nd, 1988. So that gives him some time to get some furniture set up. And then he starts getting familiarized with public transportation. And he goes to this one mall that is about 3.5 miles from where he lives. Now there's 2 different furniture stores, and in one of them there's a big sale on some stuff where he gets a couch, a full-size mattress set, a chest of 5 drawers, a bookshelf, a coffee table, a lamp table, and one of those tall what's called a it's got like a 300 watt bulb with the bulb's about this big around, about the length of my finger here, index finger. And he gets all this stuff for $521. And the delivery charge, which will happen in 48 hours, is free. And the other thing that he does is he goes to the leasing office and he talks to the lady who got him signed, initiated to move in. And she says to him, in reference to getting set up with phone services, I'm glad you came in because I just got a call from Pacific Bell. They're really looking for more people because things have been slow for them lately. And she says, here, and she writes it down on a post-it note. She says, here, call this guy directly and tell him that I referred you to him. And he'll see what he can do about getting somebody set up with you in the next 48 hours to install phone service. And he's like, great. So it goes to the payphone. And he gets the guy right away. And I believe it would be Thursday at about 12:30 p.m. It becomes the confirmed appointment of when the Pacific Bell installation man will come in and get his phone service set up. Yep. And the other good thing that happens is they got 3 different trimline phones that are only $10 each. One is AT&T, the other one is GE, and the other one is Conair. He chooses the black GE trimline phone. And immediately after he realizes, because he dials a couple of local phone number through the the yellow pages and the white pages that he got complimentary from Pacific Bell. He calls his mom and dad, and he talks to both of them for about 10-15 minutes each. And then he calls an old friend that he's known for probably at least 8 years, who is a close friend, who lives in Masonville. And he also calls his uncle. And his uncle lives in Chula Vista, which is near San Diego, California. They only live, I would say, about 120 to 130 miles apart. And he also just starts reading some magazines. And one thing that goes on through his heart, because the Lord's talking to him about this, he tells him to go to a bookstore that is 6 blocks from where he lives. And the bookstore is open. And he buys something similar to what I own. New King James Holy Bible. And he starts reading in the book of Genesis. In fact, I'll read a few lines from verse 1:1 to start with. In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So the evening and the morning were the first day. Then God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." Thus God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. So the evening and the morning were the second day. That's the truthful word of God, the Creator. That's the truth. And he paid $4.95 for a hardbound book like that. And actually be like $5.36 or $5.38 with sales tax, but you know what I mean. and he takes it home with him in a nice bag. And he reads a bit from the book of Acts, the book of Revelation. He read in the book of John. It's more than 3:16. It's the whole chapter, the third chapter. Yep. Of the book of John. And after he's been getting settled in, and he got the boxes on about Friday afternoon. They were delivered right to his apartment. He didn't have to go to a post office to get them, which was really good. He unpacked everything in the boxes, put it away. And before that, he got the furniture, and he got everything settled as to what piece of furniture would be exactly where. And he also, shortly after he got that, he went to a nearby store and got not a mattress set, but comforter and sheets set for his medium-sized medium-sized mattress set. It was a nice light bluish color, baby blue. And on Monday, he wakes up at about 7:30 in the morning. He gets showered and shaved, and he has a good breakfast. And he takes the I think it would be MTA Transit that would be out there, or it would be the name that Thousand Oaks would use. Either ATA or something, or VTA, because I think that's Ventura County. And he gets to work about 15 minutes early. He goes into Human Resources, and they have him fill out some paperwork, and then they take him to a certain conference room, and they get him trained by going through orientation first. And Monday through Friday, when he got more and more educated on how to do the job, and he came along pretty well, pretty fast. By Friday, he did so well that the manager for the reservations department handed him a gift card, a Visa gift card of $50. That's a pretty generous bonus back then in 1988. Oh yeah. And they also gave him a necktie with, because the hotel he's working for is a Ramada franchise. It has it says Ramada logo on it, on the necktie. That's pretty good. That means he's really doing well. And the other thing is he talks so well and is so conscientious and pays close attention to how he talks and how he presents himself. Little by little by little by little, he starts to shake the thick Southern accent. Yep. I mean, there was a noticeable difference on how thick, or less thick, the southern accent was. Because he talked to so many different people. On Thursday, he did so much talking that as soon as he got home, he stopped off. This is from a bus ride from the hotel to a good grocery store that was nearby that had a lot of good pharmacy over-the-counter choices to make. He got some chloroseptic throat spray, and just as soon as he bought that, he takes it out of the bag and goes, because his throat was killing him. It was really hurting. Well, that's about it for this story. Thank you everyone for watching this vlog. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe now. Thank you very much, everybody, and goodbye.